Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 36th Sustainable Agriculture Conference. My name is Mary Beth Miller, CFSA's Education Coordinator. You have joined the session Dispute Resolution in Agriculture, a mock mediation with Deborah Burke and Judith Ogden from the North Carolina Agricultural Mediation Program. Please feel free to put your comments or your questions in the chat, and we will address them at the end of this session. And I'm going to hand it over to Judith and Deborah.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm Judith Ogden. As Mary Beth said, I'm the Mediator Director for NCAMP, which stands for the North Carolina Agricultural Mediation Program. And with me, as Mary Beth said, is Deborah Burke, and she's our Executive Director. So we're very excited to have this opportunity to speak with you today. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you a little bit about a background about our program, and we will have some PowerPoint slides to help us with that. And then we will show you a video of a mock mediation to kind of give you an idea of what an agricultural mediation might look like. And after that, we will answer any questions that you have. So please, yes, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And so I think we're going to start then with the PowerPoint slides. So Mary Beth, okay, the first one. So this is the NCAMP program. And some of you might recall that between 1981 and 86, U.S. farmers experienced the worst financial crisis that they had suffered since the Great Depression. So in response to that, Congress passed the Agricultural Credit Act of 1987. Next slide. That's the previous slide. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So what the act was intended to do was to fund state mediation programs to help farmers avoid foreclosure and bankruptcy through mediated loan restructuring. So what it did was it established state agricultural mediation programs. So in addition to hopefully preventing foreclosure, cases can also be mediated with where the Farm Service Agency refuses to make a loan. So if someone applies for a loan and is turned down, that can be mediated also. Next slide. So the North Carolina, back one, please. Thank you. The North Carolina program was established in 2006, and it's funded by the United States Department of Agriculture, and it also gets additional support from Western Carolina University. So that's where our program is housed, in Western Carolina University, but we mediate all over the state of North Carolina. And what's really significant, I think, is that we provide free mediation for the services that are covered under federal law. The mediations are free. Next slide. So some of the disputes, some of the most common disputes that we mediate involve USDA lenders, also farm credit institutions, and other agricultural lenders. Next slide. We also help to resolve disputes resulting from adverse decisions concerning things like wetland determinations, conservation reserve programs, crop disaster assistance programs, environmental quality incentive programs, and the National Organic Program. We also mediate disputes between producers and other agencies, and some of those agencies include Rural Development, the National Forest Service, the National Resource Conservation Services, and the Risk Management Agency. Now, recent legislation has expanded our services to include disputes like those involving leases of farmland or equipment. So, if you would be leasing farmland and you have a dispute with the landlord, that dispute would be something that we could mediate. Also, dispute with neighbors and farm transition or farm succession issues, we can mediate those also. So in a few minutes, we're going to show you a video of an agricultural mediation. And if you weren't able to note all the different types of cases that we mediate, you can find all that information and more on our webpage. So our website is NCAMediation, one word, .org. If you want to contact me, my name is Judith Ogden, and my email address is jogden@, and it's Western Carolina University, so it's wcu.edu. And our executive director, Deborah Burke, can be reached at burke@email.wcu.edu. Okay, and I think that's the end of the slides, and so I think we're ready to show the video.
In a mediation, a third party helps two sides who are involved in a dispute to come to a resolution that they can both accept. Every mediation is different. Some are straightforward and settle quickly. Others are more complex. You are about to see a mediation involving Miss Green and Miss Smith, who are owners of a farm which was financed by an FSA loan. Recently, due to changes in the market, they have fallen behind in their loan payments over a period of 6 months. The FSA is considering foreclosure if a resolution cannot be found. The Smiths filed a debt settlement application, but it was denied.
Good morning and welcome to your mediation. Let's begin by having everyone introduce themselves.
I'm Chris Jones, FSA representative. I'm Miss Green, owner of the Hollyhock Farm. And I'm Miss Smith, co-owner of the Hollyhock Farm.
Very good. So we've assigned this case number FSA 04116. So let me start by telling you a little bit about mediation. Mediation is intended to assist parties in resolving a dispute. The mediator is neutral. They don't make a decision on the outcome. You all will make a decision on what the outcome should be. So I will give you each a chance to explain your perspective of the case. So at some point, I may need to meet with each side separately. We call that caucusing. Please don't be alarmed by this. I'm just trying to find out more about the facts in the case. So I won't repeat anything that anybody says during caucusing unless you give me permission to tell the other side. You shouldn't take anything I say at any time as and none of the questions that I ask are intended as a criticism of your case. I'm just trying to get as much information as I can, okay? Everything we all say here today is going to be kept confidential. So there are a few ground rules. I'd ask that we show each other respect and not interrupt. Everyone will have a chance to say everything that they need to. And in a few minutes, I will allow each side to make an opening statement. So I'm extremely optimistic that we can resolve this here today. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. What happens if we cannot resolve this today?
Well, you lose none of your appeal rights by using mediation. If this matter isn't resolved here today, you can still appeal to the National Appeal Department. So Ms. Smith, Ms. Green, would you like to begin with your opening?
Yes. So we have worked this farm for 20 years, and recent problems with the weather and changes in the market have caused our sales to drop significantly, and we have not been able to make our loan payments. We would like to have my son and daughter-in-law take over the farm in a few years, so we submitted a debt settlement application However, the application was denied. Until recently, we have paid our debts. We think that you should tell the FSA representative to accept our application.
Well, I'm sorry, but I cannot order the representative to accept your application. Furthermore, representatives are limited by federal law in terms of what they can agree to. So, Ms. Jones, would you please give us the FSA's perspective?
We regret that we had to deny the application request. The balance on the loan was $80,000. They needed to pay $10,000 for that loan to be current. However, there was no known security for the debt, and the debtors had no other assets from which the debt could be collected, so we had to simply deny the request. If the loan could be brought current, the monthly payment would now be $1,617.33 at a 7.875% interest rate, and that balance would be paid off in 5 years.
Well, is there no other form of resolution?
Well, the property is valued at $195,000, so it could be sold. After paying the balance of the loan, Ms. Smith and Ms. Green would still have that remaining equity.
But we do not want to sell the property. We want Fiona's son to take it over when we retire.
Well, is there any other way that the $10,000 could be paid off and Ms. Smith and Ms. Green could be current?
But even if they could pay off that $10,000, they have had a hard time making their payments in the past.
Okay, well, this might be a good time for me to meet with each side separately. So could I meet with Ms. Jones first? And while I'm talking to her, Ms. Smith and Ms. Green, maybe you could be thinking about how you might raise the $10,000. Okay? Okay, so the first thing I wanted to ask is, what's the going interest rate? Isn't 7.87 a little bit high? And I was also wondering if the loan could be extended beyond the 5 years.
So we could reduce the payment if we extend the loan over 8 years instead of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the ages of Ms. Smith and Ms. Green, would they be able to do that?
Well, I'm not sure, but what is the current interest rate?
For farm owners, the new rate is 3.25%.
So would you be able to refinance the loan at 3.25% for 10 years? What would their monthly payments be then?
Their monthly payment would come to $781.75. And if they could pay that amount, we could reduce the interest rate and extend the mortgage. But first, that mortgage must be brought current.
Okay, well, thank you for the information. Let me speak to Ms. Smith and Ms. Green now, and I'll share with them that you're willing to reduce the interest rate and extend the mortgage if they bring the mortgage current. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for waiting while we spoke, and I may have some good news. The FSA is willing to refinance your loan at an interest rate of 3.25% over 10 years, which would reduce your monthly payments to $781.75 per month. Would you be able to afford that?
Yes, Fiona's son and daughter-in-law have moved in with us to help us make our monthly payments. Her daughter-in-law works at the UPS warehouse, and the son will work on the farm.
Okay, that would be great. The only problem is that you would have to pay the $10,000 delinquent amount.
We do not have that kind of money, but my son and daughter-in-law said that they would give us money they are saving to buy a house before they decided to move to the farm. So I don't know how much money that is.
Well, okay. May I share this information with Ms. Jones? Why don't we call her back and let her know that the monthly amount is doable? Then you can tell her that you'll determine how much your son and daughter-in-law can contribute. Well, welcome back. We think that the monthly payment amount will work. Ms. Smith and Ms. Green believe that because Ms. Smith's son and daughter-in-law have moved in and will be helping with the farm, that they may also be able to help with the $10,000.
That would be fine. We would probably need something signed by the son and daughter-in-law stating that the $10,000 is not a loan and it does not have to be paid back.
Well, how soon would you need this information?
By June 15th.
Very good. Well, let me summarize what I think we've agreed to, and correct me if I misstate something. So by June 15, the property owner will have $10,000, which will bring the loan current. If the funds received from the son and daughter-in-law, they will sign a statement to the effect that the $10,000 is not a loan. At that point, the loan will be refinanced at a rate of 3.25% over 10 years, and the monthly mortgage amount is going to be $781.75. Does that all sound correct?
Yes.
Great. Well, let me have you sign the agreement then. Thank you, and I'll make a copy for everyone. And thank you all for your hard work, and I hope everything works out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I think we just are prepared to answer any questions that anyone has. And I guess you can put them in the chat. Mm-hmm. So.
Judith, it looks like we do have a question from Chloe Johnson. She says, what is the success rate of the mediation process?
I would say it's approximate, well, I guess depends on what you consider a success. It's probably 60 to 70%, I'd say, of the cases that come to mediation end up with a resolution to the problem. And that's true of mediation in all circumstances. Mediation is a very successful process overall, whether it's agricultural or something else. And I guess related to that, I would mention, something that came out a little bit in the video and even in the slides. I think it's really something worth doing because there's no cost and you don't give up your appeal rights. And so, you spend, we usually schedule a mediation of a case. I'm supposed to schedule it within 45 days of when I'm contacted. So after the 45 days, if you don't have a resolution, you go back to where you were before. It's as if it never happened. So I think it's really something worth trying because they always do have a pretty good success rate.
I might add too that while the program is housed at Western Carolina University, the mediations are conducted where the parties are. So there's no travel involved either. So our mediators come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And do agencies ever refuse mediations?
They're not allowed to. They're not legally allowed to, so they never refuse. I can't say that they're always as cooperative, perhaps, as we would like, but for the most part, they really are. It's to their benefit if they can mediate too. But federal law requires, like the FSA, if it's an appropriate case, they have to mediate. So it's really up to the producer to decide if they want to do it or not.
Do we have any other questions all right. Are the mediators always attorneys, and how are they trained in the art of mediation?
They don't have to be attorneys. Our mediators are, half of them maybe are attorneys. The mediators come from all different backgrounds. The requirement of the federal government is that anyone who mediates these types of cases in North Carolina has to be certified in North Carolina, and that means they go through the training that would allow them to mediate in the courts in North Carolina. So that at the very minimum, they have to go through that amount of training. But the reality is that most of our mediators have a lot more training than that. About half are attorneys, and probably the other half all have master's degrees in conflict resolution, which would include training in mediation, negotiation, communication, all of that. So the minimum is that you have to go through North Carolina's certification training. But our experience is all of our mediators have a lot more training, and they have a lot of all of our mediators have a lot of experience. One of our mediators used to work for the USDA, so he has a lot of understanding of what goes on in farm disputes.
Additionally, the statute that created our program requires all of our mediators to do 20 hours of training, additional training every 2 years. So they're kept up to date, not just on mediation techniques, but also on specific issues that relate to agricultural mediation.
So we have a training program every year. We send them webinars, we meet online. So we actually demand more than the state of North Carolina does in terms of continuing education.
Thank you for that. We have a question about crop insurance. If Western North Carolina got a lot of heavy rainfall this year already. But if a farmer was told that if the damage wasn't claimed immediately, then it's too late, is that something that is a case for mediation?
If the coverage is denied because it comes under the risk management agency, so we can mediate those types of dispute. The 2018 Farm Bill was pretty substantial for our program, and our program is one of 42 across the United States. You might notice on our logo that we showed Farm VA. We also run the state mediation program in Virginia as well. But there's 42 of these programs across the country, and the Farm Bill in 2018 significantly expanded the types of disputes that we could hear. So we've been able to do crop insurance for a while, but the neighbor disputes were added, as well as farm succession or transition issues. The organic program was added to what we can mediate as well. So we saw that as support from the federal government for all of our programs and for the successes that we've seen throughout the country with these types of agricultural mediation programs.
Great. I hope that answered that question, and I hope that you can find some mediation if you have trouble with crop insurance. We have another comment. Because agencies have strict rules and regulations, do you ever feel like you are limited in how creative you can be in coming to resolutions? Like in the video, raising $10,000 is hard, but it was apparent that there wouldn't be a deal if they couldn't get the money, and the mediation would just have to end.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's just nothing that you can do. I think that that's absolutely true. We can't guarantee that we'll come up with a brilliant suggestion or question or solution every time. So sometimes it's just impossible. That if the producer doesn't have the assets to pay the loan, there's even the government agency, the representative of the agency, a lot of times will even suggest other resources outside of the federal government to try to help the producer to continue in the business. But yeah, sometimes there's just nothing you can do, and that's very disheartening. But I don't think we see it a great deal. They try everything. Everybody tries everything they can think of.
And we work with FSA representatives. In fact, at our training this year, the principal FSA administrator that we work with did remote session through me, so to speak, about some of those parameters and some of those constraints that they face with the regulations and things like that, just so our mediators would be more aware of what they face in their role as well. So we try to keep abreast of that in trying to get to yes.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Chloe, for those great questions. And we will, your information is linked in the agenda. So if people want to reach out to you, they can. If y'all have any parting thoughts or anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap up, please feel free.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be here. We're excited about our program. We're excited about the opportunities that were afforded by the 2018 Farm Bill. And we're just trying to really make a concentrated effort to make people more aware of it so that we can be more helpful in the agricultural community. So please spread the word.
Yes, I would agree. Sometimes we're concerned that not enough people know about the program. And oftentimes people don't really know what mediation is if they've never been involved in mediation. They think that sometimes they're reluctant to get involved because they think that the mediator is going to decide the outcome. And even some government employees believe that they're going to be forced to do something that they shouldn't do. But that's not the case at all. That's not what mediation is. And so we really encourage you to, check out our webpage and to contact either of us if you have any questions about, what mediation is really like, if a certain type of case is covered or not. It's really surprising, I think, how the program has expanded. It usually has to have a rural component, but we have, we mediate cases where someone's is defaulting on their home mortgage. They're not farmers, but it's a rural setting. So the expanse of the program, I think, has really been significant in the last few years. So if you're not sure if a situation is covered by our mediation program, definitely contact us. I mean, I had a woman contact me not long ago, and she was having a neighbor dispute. So, it can be all sorts of different things that have a rural setting. So contact us with any questions.
Great. And there's someone contacting you now.
Oh.
Thank you so much. And we will hopefully people have your contact and they can be in touch if they have any questions.
That'd be great.
Thank you.